Apologies for starting behind schedule, but welcome to News Central TV. I am Lekon Onobanjo, and we begin the news at this hour with the latest on the rerun and by-elections across the country. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission has suspended ongoing rerun elections in some constituencies and polling units due to disruptions and irregularities. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, made this known amidst the ongoing process in 26 states and 80 local governments across the affected states. It listed the affected areas as Ikono Federal Constituency, Akwa Ibom State, saying suspension of elections in 2 units, namely Village Hall at Demaru 003 in the local government area and Village Hall in Biabong Ikot Udo 003 in Ikono local government area, where all election materials were carted away by hoodlums. In Enugu State, the exercise was suspended in all 8 polling units of Enugu South State Constituency, where the original results sheets were not available for inspection by voters before the commencement of polls. Similarly, in Kunchi Tsanyawa State Constituency in Kano State, in all 10 polling units in Kunchi local government area, due to invasion, vandalization and disruption of thugs, elections are set to be also stopped right there. But I'll tell you that the resident electoral commissioner, Enugu State, Chukwuemeka Chukwu, confirmed the indefinite suspension of the rerun in Enugu South Urban.
I heard that our result sheet, EU result sheet, is mixed. So when I get there as a resident electoral commissioner, I found out that after the RAC activation last night and the proper badging moving to PU, the SPOs presented all the materials. That I found out that to moving this morning, I found out that it's missing. So in the election, just like I said earlier, if we are to conduct election, or we are conducting the election, we have to have alternative means. Explain the political party, then in that particular polling unit. That's where it will be a problem if we are unable to present a replacement sheet of the result sheet. It will be the problem. But now we have a replacement result sheets. Let us go and continue the election. But there some political parties insisted that unless that particular one that INEC produced, that we have to find it. And we'll start contacting these people. If you look at that place, it's filled by number of people. And those places staff, some of them became afraid in order to undo the threats, in order to not causing more harm. After issuing the replacement sheets, I communicate them to the commission. And it's my duty as resident electoral commissioner to update the national office, the situation in the states. So, and they are also seeing it. The media have already carried it. So what we do, commission look at it and put that place on hold till the further.
News Central correspondent Chiwe Ogele, who is in Enugu, now joins me for more on this. Chinwe, it's nice to have you around. Of course, we just listened to the Enugu State Resident Electoral Commissioner Chukwuemeka Chukwu talking about the rationale behind the indefinite suspension of rerun in Enugu State. What more should we know about the suspension?
It's quite out there.
Chinwe, can you hear me?
Enugu State, the Rerun that was scheduled to take place, and in some of them, those ones in Enugu South, urban constituency, state constituency, was a while ago suspended indefinitely by the Independent National Commissioner owing to alleged tampering. So the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Chikwemeka, did say that because some persons refused to allow the process to take place because they were agitating and requesting the materials of election, especially the result sheet, the original result sheet, that they were not going to allow the process to take place. So he reported the incident and it resulted to the cancellation or indefinite suspension of that said election. But then election for from what he said, I didn't go there. We went on smoothly down in England. But the two presidential that were supposed to have come up in the one in secondary school and Robinson Street Primary School did not eventually happen. So the people that gathered this morning to cast their votes, their prepared candidates, left disappointed with so many security men, inside all over the area. So that's basically what transpired today.
So I don't know if you actually followed the INEC officials from the start of point before they started distributing, before they started going to the various polling units. Was it that they weren't aware that result sheets or a particular material to be used for this election, as crucial as it is, was not in their possession? Or where was the miss in all of this?
Like I said, I just hope I'm answering what you asked me because I could prepare you. The party agents, basically agents for the Labour Party, had raised the issue of non-availability of the results, original results. But I think President said that it was missing. But missing and explained the big white block missing. But a while ago, some journalists, I was there, that I found out that the document had been mutilated by some person. So they decided that it was a country bringing it out. And in place of the original results, we brought the replacement papers, which are supposed to take the place of the results. But the people did not buy the suggestion and the idea, and they insisted that it was going to be only the original result sheet or no election. So eventually, it happened the way they felt. But then I need to also let you know that what is actually in contention here is just a total of 4,615
Chinwe, if you can hear me, Chinwe, we are going to get back to you in a bit. We are going to get back to you in a bit, probably in our subsequent bulletins, to get more details from you. There's a bit of scramble, but then we appreciate the updates you've given so far. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, in Plateau State, Nyamgai, Commissioner for Land Survey and Town Planning, speaking at Kabong Tudunwada Ward, says the Independent Electoral Commission has compromised the process of the election.
Of saying INEC has compromised this process, because we discovered that in some polling units, the ballot papers for Senate were brought, and the ones for House of Reps, they didn't bring them. And we will ask questions. The polling agents, are they not supposed to supervise and ensure that the papers are complete before moving to the various polling units? And they couldn't give us any satisfactory answer. Apart from that, there are polling units that they didn't come at all. For example, 092, we didn't see anybody. So for us, honestly, INEC must come clean and ensure that the correct thing is done, because the people actually came out in mass to exercise their democratic rights. And from what is happening, honestly, for us in Kabon-Tudunwada, this election is highly compromised. And we call for INEC to do the needful to ensure that Those who are enfranchised are given the opportunity to exercise their vote.
We now tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced the counting and collation of rerun election results across states where elections were concluded in the country. By and rerun elections were slated for 80 local government areas across 26 states of the Federation. The elections were conducted to fill vacancies in not less than 3 senatorial districts, 17 federal and 28 state constituencies spread across 80 local government areas. States where the elections held include Ebonyi, Yobe, Kebbi, Lagos, Ondo, Taraba, Benue, Borno, Kaduna, Plateau, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, and others. The rerun elections in Plateau North Senatorial Zone was greeted by a very high level of voter apathy. Many polling units had very few voters who came out to exercise their civic responsibility, with just a few having a reasonable number of voters. However, electoral officers arrived in good time with the voting materials, which have not given any significant challenge since the exercise began in the morning. Security operatives are fully on ground to ensure the maintenance of law and order in all the councils where these elections are being held. News Central's Chizobanyowe reports that this high level of compliance to restrictions on both human and vehicular movement, as announced by the Plateau State Police Command, is commendable.
Arrangement done by INEC is good, even though we still have some units that they have not reported. We're hoping that they will report because people are eager to vote, and you can see people are orderly here. You see that most of the polling units here do not even have security agencies, but people are conducting themselves in an orderly manner, which means democracy is gaining ground among the people, which also means that the people are eager to exercise their democratic rights.
Let's also tell you that low voter turnout characterized the just concluded by-election in the Surulere Federal Constituency 1 in Lagos State. With the high level of the number of vehicular and people movement in the area, despite restriction of movement, some of the residents who spoke with News Central TV say they were not well informed that an election would take place, hence the low turnout. News Central's Adeshewo Dushoga now reports.
This is the morning of the by-elections in Surulere Federal Constituency 1. Officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission sat up early in anticipation of voters who are expected to cast ballot between 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Nonetheless, low voter turnout was seen at significant polling unit where some of the major candidates were anticipated to cast ballot during the elections.
It's almost an hour to the end of the by-election in Surulere Constituency 1, an election that is supposed to replace the former lawmaker representing this constituency, Femi Gbajabiamila, who is now being appointed as the Chief of Staff of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But from what has been the usual case during elections in Nigeria, human and vehicular movements are often restricted, but reverse is the case here. As you can see behind me and at the background, here noise of vehicles, cars moving from point A to B, and humans trekking from one point to another. From what we have gathered, a lot of them are not even aware that an election is taking place in the constituency.
The issue is that I thought that we had been air information concerning the election in Surulere, but from the observation, so many people are with their car and the police are everywhere in Surulere, just stopping and asking. Though, because of there is no wide information.
Some business owners here say they weren't informed that elections would be taking place, as they had come for business as usual, only to be met with the heavy presence of security forces and an almost empty road, which they say is now affecting sales.
I don't know about any election. There's no people moving around to come to buy something. Everybody is just being at the house, doing nothing. I don't understand. The place is just I don't even know how to even explain.
Politicians, on the other hand, expressed displeasure with the conduct of the people over non-adherence to the restriction of movement, one which they say is linked to the low voter turnout.
Tán ṣe yẹn kò dáa rárá, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló sì mọ̀ pé wọ́n máa dìbò lénìí, wákàtí mélòó la fẹ́ fi dìbò téèyàn fi ijọ́ kan lẹ̀. Ẹlòmíì bá ṣe wà yẹn kò sí ìwé ìdìbò kankan lọ́wọ́ wọn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ń jáde.
The by-elections in Surulere Federal Constituency 1 will fill the vacancy caused by the appointment of former Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila as the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu. Gbajabiamila was elected in the 2023 general elections for his system in office after spending 20 years representing Surulere Constituency 1. In Lagos for News Central, Adishawa Odushoga.
Still in Lagos State, voting has ended as collation of election materials have started to arrive. Now, News Central's Omolola Ololade covered the election in Surulere, and also she brings us details of that.
08, and that's in polling unit 14 here at Elizabeth Memorial Fowler High School in Surulere, where of course the former House of Representatives representing Surulere constituency voted. That's I'm talking about Femi Gbajabiamila, who is now the Chief of Staff to President Tinubu. He's just left some few minutes ago and addressed the press. He voted here and addressed the press. And prior to that, we had a few number of people come around to vote, and there's so much security presence here. There's high level of security presence. There's so much people voting here compared to the other polling unit that we visited in other parts of Surulere.
You're watching News Now. There's still more to come. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. At this point, we now join our news correspondent in Delta State, Austin Azu, to bring us update as regards the election in that state. Austin, what are the latest updates that you have for us?
All right, a very good evening to you. Currently, I'm at the headquarters of the Itope West local government area of Delta State, where the rerun election was held in selected polling units and wards in the local government. As you can see behind me, you can see the EOs and the returning officers have just finished the exercise, and they are trying to collect the results from the various polling units and wards that they have gotten so far. Generally, the election was very peaceful, unlike what they recorded in 2023, that they had some rancors. But this time around, it was just seamless, despite the fact that security personnel were heavily on the ground to ensure peace and order, and voters actually came out in their low numbers to cast their votes, unlike the general elections where you had much of them coming around to cast their votes. It's quite really sad that a rerun election of this magnitude, that one of them will go to the House of Assembly to represent them in the next 4 years, just like an event that was not prepared for. Speaking with some of the voters earlier on, some of them expressed the fact that, because of a rerun election, most of their polling units were not included, most of their wards were not included. So it looked as if just the people who were consigned to go for the election. But however, the questions and many other issues raised here, like there were no much voter education in the area. So vis-a-vis, you see a lot of persons, don't even know that they ought to be the rerun election in their own units. But a recap so far from today's experience, when the commissioner for INEC in the state president electoral commissioner, when he came to the RAC center, that was Ward 7, he met somehow a large number of persons who came to vote. But when he went to other polling units, like same Ward 7, Unit 19, it was just like the staff were there, INEC staff were there, security personnel were on the ground, but there were no voters. I just imagine how it's going to look like. In that particular polling unit, it's expected to have at least nothing less than 300 voters who were on the voters, display board. So it was just like a desert. In the same vein, at Ward 8, Unit 3, in the morning that I went there, it was just like the security personnel were just yeah, just like the people, okay, fine, this individual, just like the people who just came to do the voting, and the voters were not even there. So, but I think the bottom line here so far, the election has been adjudged to be peaceful, unlike what they had in 2023 that led to part of the, the rerun of this election.
Austin Azu, thank you so much.
We are expecting soon.
Yeah, you were going to conclude.
Yes, I said, but meanwhile, we are expecting soon that the result from the polling units, the various wards, will be collated and announced by the returning officer soon, so that the legal whatsoever that took place in the last 3 months will finally be put to rest, and this state constituency will now have a lawmaker that will represent them in the State House of Assembly that will be able to bring their pains, tell the people what to do and what they're expecting from the government. Of course, the government is just about 8 months plus, and I believe now that the court litigations are over, it's expected that the people at the grassroots level will start feeling the impact of government, and the only way they can feel the impact of government is for their House of Assembly to tell the government and bring to them what they want from the government.
Austin Azu, thank you very much for the updates. Definitely we'll keep tabs with you and continue to monitor that as you remain our eyes and ears on ground in Delta State. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, we'll go back to Lagos to tell you that the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, Femi Gbajabiamila, took time out of the election to address Nigerians. Femi Gbajabiamila assured Nigerians that the benefits of fuel subsidy removal would be reaped soon. He spoke after casting his vote at polling unit 014, Ward 08 at Elizabeth Fowler Memorial School in Surulere, Lagos State, in the House of Representatives by-election in the constituency on Saturday. According to him, the economic hardship faced by Nigerians was due to fundamentals missed by the past administration.
Clearly, Nigerians are going through economic hardship. Same thing is going on in other parts of the world. Nigeria is not isolated. It's even in the most advanced democracy, these things are happening. The shocks that are being received left, right, center, from the east, from the west, from the south, things that are universal. But we're concerned with Nigeria. Let's forget about the other countries. We're concerned with Nigerians, and I want to encourage people. It's been, around about 6-7 months of this government. The gestation period is about now. So moving forward, I believe that things will begin to take a turn. Like has always been said, it's for it to get better. Some people will say it has to get bad. Because of the fundamentals that we're missing in the first place. It is those fundamentals, those economic fundamentals that this government is putting into place. You talk about subsidy removal. Everybody, there was a national concession. Everybody agreed that the subsidy had to go. Unification of the Naira. Everybody agreed that had to be done. So those are the fundamentals that we're now putting in place. And the benefits will be reaped later on. Security is about everybody. The president and this administration is at the forefront. Security is about everybody. You need full cooperation. Go to America, go to Germany, go to South Africa, go to Ghana, you find the same thing. But for as long as you have somebody at the saddle who knows what he's doing, who is concerned, which the president is, I believe that this also will be a thing of the past. It's something of concern to me and to everybody. But I believe all of us should be our brother's keepers. We should all check ourselves, support the president, support the administration. When you have insecurity, look at America, for example. There's insecurity every day in America. But people don't criticize the government. What they do is they rally around. When 9/11 happened, that was when you saw that there was a blur, the lines between the parties were blurred. Everybody came together. There was a cohesion in the country, a national cohesion, to support that administration of George Bush at the time. Both Democrats, Republicans, Independents, they all came together. And that's the attitude we should have in Nigeria.
And now to discuss the election further, we are joined in the studio by a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
It's my pleasure. Good evening, Lekon.
Okay, so you're welcome. What are your general thoughts as regards the by and rerun elections held in 26 states of the Federation?
Well, the day has come, the event has happened, but I ask myself as I read the news and watch your footages, whether our political class actually wanted democracy in the first place. Because like Professor Claudake of blessed memory said in one of his works, he said Nigeria is running democracy without Democrats. In 10 polling units of Kano State, thugs took charge and prevented the election from holding. Who sponsored those thugs? Is it not the politician? In Enugu, 8 polling units, no result sheets. How was that missed? Just 8 polling units. So, and then in 2 polling units in Akwa Ibom, where there was violence. And you hear of huge budgetary allocation to holding this follow ritual called election. INEC itself needs to get its ass together. Because I'm worried. The issue of missing results, the REC should take responsibility. It's the man on ground. It should have asked the head of operations to ascertain that all the materials are in order and none is missing. Look, for there to be a rerun again, now there's going to be a rerun in Kano, in 2 polling units in Akwa Ibom, and in 8 polling units in Enugu. We are wasting taxpayers' money. Because you mobilized all the national assets. You possibly had Professor Mahmoud Yakubu saying they have to engage the national assets, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Police, Nigerian military. You lock down those states, 26 states where those elections are holding. You lock them down, at least for those polling units and those districts where the election will hold. So, in 3 states now, there is still going to be a repeat of SALT at some point. Then, all the resources that you have mobilized today, you have to repeat that expenses, because all the youth corps members that you have mobilized, they will not say because the election was not hold, they will not be paid. You have mobilized them, the police have mobilized. So, and I ask, when they say thugs took charge, how could we have that huge deployment of policemen and thugs will still be able to run rings around these policemen? Yes, we all are in agreement that we should not have police that will carry rifles at polling units. But if there had been proper hotspot analysis, they should have known that with intelligence, they should have known that this particular constituency is a hotbed of violence and be able to mobilize sufficiently to preempt and prevent what happened in Kano, what happened in those 2 units in Akwa Ibom. Now, but the one in Enugu is actually INEC's fault.
Well, we are going to, Jide, we are still going to look at situation of security provisions when it comes to electoral cycles in the country. But then you've talked about a number of areas where things have not really gone right in these by-election and rerun elections. But then wouldn't you say that there's a bit of success being recorded, because some of the voters have talked about timely arrival of polling materials. Some people have talked about the fact that they do not have any complaints as regards the BVAS for accreditation, of course, even the IREF too. And some of people, some areas, we talked about a peaceful atmosphere. If you're having In 3 states, violence been recorded out of 26 states. Maybe that's just a bit of success that we can hold on to and say probably the electoral umpire is doing something right. So don't you think that's another focus that we may need to look at even as we evaluate these elections?
Well, yes, I do. By my orientation, I'm taught to look at both sides of the coin. And I will agree with you, yes, in at least in about 23 states, things did go right. But you ask yourself, at what point are we going to have a flawless exercise? In which case, everything, because this is a by-election, yes, but you also remember that there was a widespread reportage of low voter turnout in Surulere, which is Lagos, in Delta, in almost all the other places where there are reports from you. They talk about very low voter turnout, which means that people are losing faith in democracy and in elections. So, yes, kudos to INEC in those places where the exercise was seamless. But, you know, in news, it's the negative that sticks, that sucks. And that's what, as the press has reported, those 20 polling units where INEC had to eventually postpone election because of activities. But we give them kudos at least for the smooth working of the beavers of RF, and we don't know what else will come out later because usually my own experience, I'm an election expert for over 25 years. Usually the experience is that at the beginning, you have a seamless exercise. By tomorrow, you start hearing, oh, the result that was posted on IRF was not the one that was given to us. There have been alterations, there have been this. So it might be a bit too early to congratulate INEC on a job well done until we have an overview, general overview of all of the states. Okay. Because your report are centered on about 4 or 5 states out of 26. So unless we know what actually obtained in other states, we may not yet be able to say Uhuru for INEC. Well, definitely News Central will get updates from all the states and bring it to our viewers. Of course, you have expressed the fact that there are still issues as regards voter education on the part of INEC, and those who have also said that, oh, they are not even aware of the fact that elections have to be conducted in different areas in the state. But then, does it also paint a picture of people not being interested in wanting to vote in their constituencies due to the issue of the role the judiciary has played over time in the last election? I will attribute it to judiciary. It's a number of variables. When you have a voter apathy, as an election expert, I will tell you for free that people more or less still have intrinsic confidence in the judiciary. Is it not judiciary that gave Natasha Akpoti a mandate? You know, is it not the same judiciary that gave Ikenga Ugochinyere his mandate after his election was nullified by the tribunal? So, for judiciary, you should know that every decision the judiciary makes, it wins a friend, it wins an enemy. And so you cannot, even if you go to US, even if you go to Brazil, if you go to other democracies, it's the same thing that applies. There is still controversy over 2020 presidential election in US. Another one falls due in November. You possibly know that. So the Supreme Court of US said this man won. The Republicans are still saying that election was stolen for Joe Biden. So let's not go there. I think what makes people to lose interest, aside from maybe, I think majorly is just the prevailing economic situation. People are looking, I mean, the chief of staff to the president spoke to that. Although he was trying to paper over the whole thing. Oh, you know, it's not only in Nigeria, security is everybody. But people are being slaughtered like fowl, including traditional rulers, 3 of them in 1 week. There is no money. Even people who are close allies of the president are already advising him publicly to say, okay, you need to do something about this, or, you know, very harsh economic reality. So how will you convince me to go and vote. And meanwhile, people like me will say, don't collect money to vote. So you don't want me to pay, you don't want the politician to pay me for vote, but I cannot feed my family, I cannot pay my children's school fees, I cannot pay my rent. So what has democracy done for me? So that's part of the reason you see coup d'etat in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Guinea. Because the citizens are disillusioned about the dividends of democracy. And that's why in Nigeria we must do everything to avoid another NSAS. You know, NSAS came targeting the police, but over the days, in the 5th, 7th day, it took over. It was no longer NSAS. It was about we want dividends of democracy. We are not feeling the impact of government. So you cannot blame entirely the low voter turnout, and I will blame the politician. They did not do their work properly.
Okay.
They are the ones that are supposed to even mobilize voters by educating them about elections that was holding in their constituency.
We'll equally look at the issue of mobilization, because in some areas we still had the issue of cash inducements influencing voters to canvass or vote for a particular candidate. So we'll look at that. We're going to go on a short break right now, even as we continue to look at Nigeria's by and rerun elections that went down today on the news. When we return, we'll look at all the angles and bring you the details. Just stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us on the news. Yes, we continue to look at the Nigeria's rerun and by-elections that happened today at different 26 states, actually, in Nigeria. Now, Judy, before I let you go, now, the general elections, of course, the rerun elections in some states today was said to have witnessed votes buying, cash inducements by party agents. Of course, you were talking about mobilization in that line. So at this particular time, don't you think that we should have eliminated that aspect in Nigeria's electoral cycle? Is it that Nigeria has not attained maturity yet?
Well, perhaps yes, but I think the economic realities that is biting down on many people has turned them to, decent beggars. There is fine bearer, there is decent bearer. People who are corporate beggars who say, okay, I can manage it, 10K, 5K, even if it's a pot of soup, I can cook with it. You see, it's so difficult to preach sermon to somebody who is hungry. Hunger and anger, they are simultaneous equation, if I can borrow that mathematical expression. And people are just so very hungry, and it's so difficult. I cannot change the narrative that it's wrong, it's illegal, it's criminal, it's unlawful to be induced. I mean, Section 121, Section 127 of the Electoral 2022 has criminalized voter inducement. But that is on paper. The realities you face on ground is that people are telling you that, look, we are hard up. Financially, we are hard up. And if this man will offer us something for our vote, knowing full well that we may not see him after his victory, let us collect. And how many incidents of voter inducement has been successfully prosecuted in the courts? Because people can say, oh, he's just paying me what he owed me. There is nowhere you sign to say I've collected this money is meant to buy my vote. So it's a double-edged thing. I just hope that the economy will improve to the level that people will believe in our advocacy, in our campaign, that it's unlawful for you to be induced to vote for any candidate. And the economy, the government at all levels, they are not making our advocacy easy for us. Because, like I said earlier on, when someone is hungry and is angry, he either stays off the polls or accept the inducement and grudgingly go and exercise that franchise. So we are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Okay.
That, okay, in one hand, you want people to vote, but they are not incentivized to vote because the environment, the ecosystem is very toxic for them.
Okay.
Then, on the other hand, those who knew that the ecosystem is toxic is now trying to encourage by giving a token to encourage the voter, and we say it's criminal, it's unlawful. So we are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. But like I said, as somebody who is well versed in this field, the law is the law. It's unlawful for you to allow inducement. Both the giver and the taker are culpable. In fact, you risk 1 year imprisonment, 12 months, it says, or 500,000 fine. And for those, I mean, there have been few individuals who have been caught, who have been sentenced. But I think the economy generally needs to improve for that advocacy to resonate with people. So when the economy improves, people are employed, the poverty level has reduced, then it will resonate with them that, why should I sell my vote? For how much? How long will it take me to spend this money? But otherwise, as crushing hardship, as people face this crushing, I mean, I was working this morning and somebody beckoned me, never knew me, and was asking me for support. You know, it's that bad that people are throwing shame to the wind.
Well, it's understandable. Jude, that this economic hardship cuts across the genre or the social strata in the country, and we hope that something will be done in like mind to bring about economic growth, most especially for the country and well-being for the people. Thank you so much, Jude Ojo, for joining us in the studio to look at this. We'll continue with the conversation anyway on News Central Television, and we hope that everyone will connect with this. And that's all at this hour. And don't forget to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. While you do that, don't forget to also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.